Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6 of You Got a Roster on the GotaRoster platform. My name's Coach Sean O'Connor. I am the head baseball coach at CCBC Essex Community College and the podcast host of You Got a Roster here on the GotaRoster platform. Welcome back. It's been a little longer than I expected. I expected to be back in the next 2 weeks from the last time we talked in July. But so much had changed, and I didn't want to put false information out of what's happening in the world. But a lot has changed in college baseball, and a lot that might affect your recruiting right now as far as what you're seeing and what you're hearing, and hopefully I can decipher what you see. 11.7 scholarships. If you're on the Power 4, not Power 5, Power 4, that doesn't exist anymore. Those scholarship limits, according to the new settlement, and understand this is a settlement, it is not an NCAA policy. They are agreeing to this revenue share to avoid a potential lawsuit against them. The NCAA has raised the roster limit of baseball to 34 full scholarships at the Division I level. Now, what does that mean for most people? Well, for most people, this doesn't affect. The majority of college baseball players are not Division I baseball players. But with this roster move, there's going to be limitations or changes. There's about 300 programs that have college baseball at the Division I level. Most of those college programs are operating in the spring at around 40 players. If the roster limits were to cut those teams to 34 players, that means 6 players off of every Division I roster will be removed. So roughly 1,800 players, or 1,800 spots, would no longer be available at the Division I level. Now, granted, the scholarship level will go from 11.7 to 34, so a full ride for those Power 4 conferences. But remember, at most levels of college baseball, most people are not fully funded at 11.7. And even very, very small college programs have the finances to go all the way to 34 scholarships. So now do we have the haves and have-nots even more? How is this going to impact the mid-major programs that are struggling in some ways to survive? If you look at the American East, you have programs that are up and down the East Coast that are traveling from Maryland to Maine by bus. You have programs in the Atlantic 10 that are going from Virginia to Missouri by plane. As a matter of fact, the conference tournament for the A-10 was held in my backyard in Tyson's Corner at the Cap One ballpark. St. Louis was in that conference tournament and had to fly across country to play in that high school tournament. How is this going to affect the mid-major? I'm scared for college baseball in a lot of ways. College baseball at the Southern schools, or 3 of the Power 4 conferences, have great revenue base. 4,000, 5,000 season ticket holders, people coming in, enjoying the environment. But as long as college baseball is going to remain in the time frame it is, and isn't going to push it in the Northeast or in the Midwest a month back and stop playing games in February and March and push it into the summer, it's going to be really hard to do that. If you did that, you would also help the Major League Draft. I talked to one Major League Draft expert and said it's crazy. They were drafting kids in this year's draft, which just happened a couple weeks ago, that they had no idea what those kids were doing over the summer because those kids are no longer playing in the Cape Cod League. Those kids, a lot of places, are not playing in the summer because they don't want to hurt their draft stock. So you have kids that you're potentially signing $1 million contracts on that are not playing. They're showing up at combines and different things that come across. And yeah, there's some can't miss kids that are going to be major impacts. I'm already seeing Twitter right now when guys are getting their first hits, first home runs, moving up. Guys are moving as quicker than ever in college, in pro baseball, I should say. In that. But it's really affecting the mid-major. It really is going to affect not only the whole, we're going to just be the breeding grounds or the quote-unquote JUCO, like that's a bad thing. Sorry, mid-majors, I don't think that's a horrible thing. I think the big thing that's horrible is kids are understand that there's no loyalty in these full scholarships. It's gonna be professional baseball. If you don't perform and you're not going to help me win at the 34-man roster, you're not going to be there. And I'm sorry about the credits you're going to lose or the school you're going to be at. It's going to be a really, really cutthroat type situation. I heard one Division I school that I was talking to at a recruiting seminar, and they said they've already cut. This is a mid-major school. They've already cut what they're bringing in. They're no longer bringing in 11 high school kids in their recruiting class. They're bringing 5 in. And those 5 kids are getting no money, and they're only giving money for kids in the portal. So the game's changing. It really is. Are they recruiting the same? I mean, think about this. If the NCAA has not come up with the new rules, they haven't figured this out. What I have heard is there is no more medical red shirts. There is no more red shirts, that every kid's going to count on that 34-man roster. But I've also heard talks that some programs have said that if we don't want to go up to 34 roster and we want to stay at 11.7, that they're going to allow me to keep 40 guys on my roster. Okay. All those are things that we're going to figure out, and probably at the national convention in Washington, D.C. in January, a lot of these answers are probably going to be truly talked about. Doesn't mean they're going to stop recruiting. Doesn't mean they're going to have a conversation. If you're a 25 right now and you're talking to a Division I school, can they even tell you what their scholarships are going to be? Do they even know what their process are? Go to Twitter right now. Look at how many kids that schools are telling me, we don't no longer have a spot for you. That's not the end of this. This is going to happen again in November at National Letter of Intent. They're going to see guys November 1st, a couple weeks before that day, maybe October, where they just say, you know what, we're done. A lot of schools are waiting to see how the fall comes. Are there guys that are going to not make their rosters, get injured? We're not going to invite back. We're going to get through the year with you, but you're not going to be a part of those 6. You're going to be one of those 6 that are cut. Or did you come and have a great year and we're going to now advance you? You went from 85 to 87 or higher, 94, 95. And now all of a sudden we don't have a spot for you as a high school kid that comes in. You got to look at that. You got to look at what's happening, how this whole thing is going, because nobody knows what the roster limits are. And if they're telling you that, they don't know. Because I heard 2 Division I schools that have told me 2 different things, and I've heard that from multiple people. I've also talked about the whole when does this roster clock start? If they're asking guys to come up with a roster September 1 of 34 players, I understand parents, and I understand this. Well, my travel team could do this with 13 kids. No, you can't. There's no way with academics and injuries that all of a sudden you're going to force me as a college coach to pick 34 players and be 100% right and get through a season in the spring. Shoot, at my level, we play 56 games. You got to have kids. You got to have arms. Arms are huge. So if you're going with a 34-man roster, let's just say that. You have 18 pitchers. You're not going to carry 2 catchers. You're going to carry 3. Now we're at 21. We only have 13 positions left for position players. So, yeah, if he's a 2-way, that helps me immensely. But it doesn't change everything as far as what's going on. And it's going to be even harder to get on that roster spot than ever past. The NCAA is okay with that. I think this is their answer to kind of fix Division II, Division III, and push kids back down. Make the Division I a totally different level. There might be 4 levels. I've always said that. There's a big possibility of that. Camp recruiting season, big part right now. We'll talk about a little bit about the recruiting. We have kids that we just got done our camp. Guys, understand, remember everything matters. How you act, how you are as a teammate. We told our kids that we were talking to in our camp, it really matters if you're a good person. I mean, I want to recruit good people. That's a big deal. Yes, you got to be talented. But I want to recruit kids that I want to be around and can handle responsibility. That's a big problem. If you talk to a lot of high school educators, if you talk now with college coaches, myself, responsibility on kids and the amount of blame that people push to other people and not take responsibility for what they have done or what they're a part of, and the inability to advocate for themselves is a really, really, really big problem. And it's not getting better. When you're a camp guy, put emails out. Tell me you're coming. Tell me who I should be looking for. Follow that up with an email. Hey, this and this. I had a guy that did our camp. And of course, at our camp, we're going to use GotaRoster. They're our partner. College coach, we had 14 colleges there, had a college coach that saw a kid, liked how he performed, went immediately to his GotaRoster profile because we put all the metrics of the showcase we did the day before. He was able to look at them. Oh, the kid put more video up there. He was able to look at that video, and next thing you know, I think we might have had a match for a kid in another college. That's fantastic for that kid. Use the system, use different things. Remember, the GotaRoster platform is free. GotaRoster.com. It's something you can use. We just lost recruiting board beta is what I'll call it. The ability to search colleges throughout the country that have baseball, that have what you want, what you don't want to do. Some of these programs, or companies, I should say, are charging you thousands of dollars to be able to use a search engine. It's free at GotaRoster. All you have to do is email GotaRoster@gmail.com and say, I'd like my recruiting board turned on. We'll turn it on for you. We'll have it take a look at it for you. It's going to be free. We're trying to figure out a way that maybe that becomes something that becomes a scholarship, but it's never going to be something that you got to pay right away for. We want guys to be used. We want the guys to help. We have every college that plays college baseball, including junior colleges, in the system. We have campus-wide videos of those things, so you can go right there on that page and see a campus tour of the college that you're looking at. It's really, really, really good is what they've done over there to be able to research and put out there. And like I said, if it does become something that has a small fee, it's going to be well worth it so that they can keep the system updated and properly done the way it needs to be done. Hope all's well. Hope I come back sooner to be able to help you. Hopefully it doesn't take me another month to go through the process, but with this new recruiting stuff and what's going on, I did not want to put information out there that I was wrong about. And this is important that I was able to get it correctly as far as what I've heard. And again, nothing's done in stone yet, but it's stuff you should know about. Go to camps, big thing right now. I know a lot of guys are doing it. For us, come to practice. We want guys to watch us practice. If you can participate at a certain school, you should take advantage of that. It's a big part of your recruiting. I don't understand how people commit to colleges without college kids on campus. It should be a big part of your life is who you're going to be around, the students that are going to be there, the environment that you're going to be at. Take the advantage to see that with those students there. And if you're in a camp environment, make sure you're doing your research. When you send that email to me or another coach, make sure you just don't say, hey, coach. Do a little research. Give me a question that you want me to answer. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, that list that you have. Make sure it's where you want to be. And if you're going to send me an email in the way of, hey, coach, take a look at me, are you really sending an email where if I said I'm interested in you, that you would be able to pull the trigger and say, yep, we're done. We've done enough research. Or is it merely a cold call when you're doing that? A thank you email, a hey, I'm coming to camp. Those are great. I love them. Every college coach I've talked to, when you send emails that are literally, hey, coach, here it is. I'm playing in this tournament. You're going to be at my field because I did some research. It says you're going to be there. Those are great, and guys normally follow up with you. Guys will normally look out for you, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get yourself an edge. If that edge is because you got a really good video profile, which, hey, GotaRoster's got 5,000 kids in the portal. If you're a college coach and you're not using it, you're crazy. There's so much talent on GotaRoster, and that's the coolest part of the whole thing, is for students that are involved in the GotaRoster platform. You're putting your 5,000 name along guys that are committed. I think our 24 class that we had on the platform, I think it's 84% of them have committed to colleges. I won't say four-year schools. Have committed to play college afterwards. That is so much above the national average. It's not even crazy. But I think it shows if you work the system and you're engaged in it, and you go to some camps and some showcases and you have some metrics and you put some videos up there, it works. It really does. Hope you have a great time. Hope you get ready for the season. The next time you talk to me, we will be in season in the fall, and we'll probably talk a little bit from that as far as how the season and little tidbits here and there. Best advice I can tell you as a college kid, we just had our opening meeting, the college freshmen. Get stronger. Get in the weight room. You need to be as strong as you possibly can to play college baseball. For us, even to survive a 56-game season, you got to be strong enough to do that. Again, Sean O'Connor, GotaRoster.com. This is the You Gotta Roster podcast. You can reach me on Twitter at Coach_OC on Twitter if you have any questions. And again, if you're interested in getting that recruiting board, it's GotaRoster at gmail.com, and they will hook you up. Just make sure you say, I listen to the podcast, and I'm interested in getting that college search board for me. Thank you very much, and have a great night.